Peace, family. This is Lions Den with another news and commentary. I will give a shout out to Nicole's view on YouTube for this story. And it goes to show that it doesn't matter who you are. It's like you part of the Me Too movement. Matter of fact, Asia Argento, who is the darling of the Me Too movement, she's just basically the leader of it. Well, she got a little skeletons in her closet too. And according to the New York Times, this is from the New York Times, by the way. Asia Argento, a Me Too leader, made a deal with her accuser. Now, this is the same Asia Argento who accuses Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault. This is the same woman that basically praising the crucifixion, and that's what I call it, the crucifixion of Bill Cosby. So I'm going to read this article, and I'm going to blow your mind, because it shows a double standard when it comes to who sexually assaulted who, and then all of a sudden now, since you became the cheerleader, yay, the darling of the Me Too movement, now you got skeletons in your closet. But just like Nicole from Nicole View said, they're going to play it down. They're going to downplay it. They're going to sweep this under the rug because they can care less about male victims of sexual assault. So let me go ahead and read this article, and then I'm going to finish doing my commentary. The Italian actress and director Asia Argento was among the first women in the movie business to publicly accusing the producer Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault. She became a leading figure in the Me Too movement. Her boyfriend, the culinary television star Anthony Bourdain, eagerly joined the fight. But in the months that followed her revelations about Mr. Weinstein last October, Miss Argento quietly arranged to pay, get this guys, arranged to pay $380,000 to her own accuser. Interesting. Jimmy Bennett, a young actor and rock musician who said she had sexually assaulted him in a California hotel room years earlier when he was only 2 months past his 17th birthday, and she was 37. And get this, the age of consent in California is 18. I'm going to stop right there. Yes, indeed. So she was 37, and she sexually assaulted him 2 months past on his 17th birthday. Now, if I'm not mistaken, where you live in California or anything like that, that's considered statutory rape. But again, they're not going to do nothing to her because, well, we already know about that. Moving right along. That claim and the subsequent arrangement for payments are laid out in documents between lawyers for Miss Argento and Mr. Bennett, a former child actor who once played her son in the movie. The documents, which were sent to the New York Times through encrypted email by an unidentified party, including a selfie dated May 9, 2013 of the two lying in bed. As part of the agreement, Mr. Bennett, who is now 22, gave the photograph and its copyright to Miss Argento, now 42. 3 people familiar with the case said the document was authentic. The Times had tried repeatedly since Thursday to get a response to the matter from Miss Argento and her representatives. She did not reply to a message, of course she's not, left on her phone, sent by email, and sent to 2 of her agents, who agreed to forward it to her. Carrie Goldberg, her lawyer who handled the matter, read email messages from the Times, according to 2 people familiar with the case. But she has not responded. Of course not. She's not going to respond. A woman who answered the phone at Miss Goldberg's office on Friday said the lawyer would not be available to discuss this article. Yeah. I'm going to stop right there. You want to know why they're not going to do it? Because guess what? Double standard, the shoes on the other foot. You became a cheerleading darling of the Me Too movement. You praised the crucifixion of Bill Cosby. Then basically you're accusing Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault, which we don't even know if that's true or not. But now your story comes out. You got skeletons in your closet. And now she could have been charged with statutory rape after in the California law that you cannot have sex with any boys under the age of 18. That's in the state of California. But of course, again, you know what's going on there. You know what the deal is. And I agree that they can't do anything to her because you know why. So I'm going to continue on this article. Mr. Bennett, who lives in Los Angeles, will not agree to be interviewed, and his lawyer, Gordon K. Satchel. In the coming days, Mr. Satchel wrote an email. Jimmy will continue doing what he has been doing over the past months and years, focus on his music. In an April letter addressed to Ms. Argento, confirming the details of the deal and setting out of the schedule of payments, Ms. Goldberg characterized the money as helping Mr. Bennett. We hope nothing like this ever happens to you again, Ms. Goldberg wrote. You are a powerful and inspiring creator, and it is a miserable condition of life that you live among shitty individuals who preyed on both your strengths and your weaknesses. But for Mr. Bennett, who as a child actor charmed Harrison Ford and Bruce Willis and earned the nickname Jimmy Two Takes because he rarely flubbed his lines, the 2013 hotel room encounter was a betrayal that precipitated a spiral of emotional problems, according to the documents. The fallout from a sexual battery was so traumatic that it hindered Mr. Bennett's work and income and threatened his mental health, according to a notice of intent to sue that his lawyer sent in November to Richard Hofstetter, Mr. Bourdain's longtime lawyer, who was also representing Miss Argento at the time. Miss Argento, who lives in Rome, subsequently turned to Miss Goldberg, a prominent lawyer, for victims of online attacks to handle the case. Okay. Mr. Hofstadter is now handling the estate of Mr. Bourdain, who killed himself in June. Although Mr. Bourdain helped Miss Argento navigate the matter, neither Miss Hofstadter nor Kimberly Witherspoon, Mr. Bourdain's longtime agent and a spokeswoman for his wife, Octavia Busa, from whom he was separated, will comment for the article. Mr. Bennett's notice of intent asked for $3.5 million in damages for the intentional infliction of emotional stress, lost wages, assault, and battery. Mr. Bennett made more than $2.7 million in the 5 years before the 2013 meeting with Mr. Argento, but his income has since dropped to an average of $60,000 a year, from which he attributes to the trauma that follows a sexual encounter with Ms. Argento, his lawyer wrote. This is getting even more interesting. In October, a month before Mr. Bennett sent his demand for money, the New Yorker published an article by Ronan Farrell that included Ms. Argento among 13 women who accused Mr. Weinstein of harassment and rape. Ms. Argento, who fathered Dario Argento, is a noted director of Italian horror films. Began her acting career as a child. She went on to win 2 David D. Dontinero Awards, the Italian equivalent of Oscars, and has directed films, written a novel, and recorded music. After she spoke out about Mr. Weinstein, Ms. Argento quickly emerged as a powerful voice for women who have been mistreated by men. In May, she gave a riveting speech at a Cannes Film Festival in which she calls the festival Mr. Weinstein hunting ground. She said he had raped her there in 1997 when she was 21. The relationship with Mr. Weinstein continued for years afterward and sometimes includes sex. The New Yorker reporter Miss Argento, who added in a movie Mr. Weinstein produced, told the magazine that she feared anger him. It was a complicated situation in which she said she felt powerless. After the rape, he won. She told Mr. Farrow. Mr. Weinstein has pleaded not guilty to 6 felony counts in New York, including first-degree rape. None are related to Ms. Argento. His lawyers have said their relationship was consensual. Mr. Bourdain, long a fan of her father's work, met Ms. Argento when he was shooting an episode of the CNN show Parts Unknown in Rome in late 2016. The two became a couple, and Mr. Bourdain became her champion as she emerged as a leading figure in the battle against sexual assault and harassment, speaking at a conference at Harvard. Mr. Bennett, seeing Ms. Argento present herself as a victim of sexual assault was too much to bear, his lawyers wrote, and called up memories of their hotel reunion. His feelings about that day were brought to the forefront recently when Ms. Argento took the spotlight as one of the many victims of Harvey Weinstein. Mr. Satchel wrote in the notice of intent to sue. Now, this is Jim. Now, the picture you seeing right now is Jimmy Bennett when he was a little boy with Miss Argento in the movie in the 2004 movie called The Heart is Deceitful Above All Things. And it's some really juicy stuff, but sometimes when you have social media exposing you, this is what happens. Okay, continue on. Miss Argento, who is divorced and has 2 children, were both a mentor and a mother figure to Mr. Bennett, the document says, and the two were intermediate in contact as he grew up. Jimmy's impression of this situation was as a mother-son relationship that had blossomed from their experience on set together, Mr. Satchel wrote. Mr. Bennett began acting at age 6 when he was cast in a commercial for a Dodge Caravan. He went on to appear in dozens of other commercials and secured roles in several television shows. His prolific movie career started in 2003 with Daddy Daycare, which starred Eddie Murphy. Mr. Bennett was 7 when he was cast in The Heart is Deceitful Above All Things, a 2004 film Ms. Argento directed, starred in, and helped write. The script, based on a book by a pseudonymous writer, J.T. Leroy, depicts the grim relationship between the drug dealer prostitute played by Ms. Argento and her son played by Mr. Bennett and 2 other young actors. Ms. Argento's character dressed her son as a girl to lure men, and the boy was ultimately raped. I wonder how she get that storyline from. In interviews and subsequent social media posts between the two over the years, they referred to each other as mother and son. Get this, and this is going to be a blowout. On May 9, 2013, the day they met for a reunion in her room at a Ritz-Carlton in Marina Del Rey, California, she posted on her Instagram, "Waiting for my long-lost son, my love," at Jimmy Bennett in trepidation, Maryland Del Rey, smoking cigarettes like there was no next week. Mr. Bennett responded, I'm almost there. Mr. Bennett, who has an eye condition that prevents him from driving, arrived at Miss Argento's hotel room that morning with a family member, according to his notice of intent. Excuse me. The document lays out Mr. Bennett's account. Miss Argento asked the family member to leave so she can be alone with the actor. She gave him alcohol to drink and showered him a series of notes she had written to him on hotel stationery. Then she kissed him, pushed him back on the bed, removed his pants, and performed oral sex. She climbed on top of him, and the two had intercourse. The document says she then asked him to take a number of photos. Later that day, she posted a close-up of their face on Instagram with the caption, "Happiest day of my life reunion with Jimmy Bennett, XO," and added that Jimmy is going to be in my next movie, and that is a fact. Dig that, Jack. Of course, after you sexually assaulted him and thinking it was consensual, and then you go on a post on social media like nothing ever happened. That post and others were included with the notion of intent, along with the 3 photos apparently taken by Mr. Bennett that depict him and Miss Argento in bed, their unclothed torsos exposed. Only one of the photos taken in bed shows both their faces. The 2 had lunch, and Mr. Bennett headed home to Orange County, where he lived with his parents. As he was driven home, according to his claim, he began to feel extremely confused, mortified, and disgusted. But a month later, on June 8th, he sent Miss Argento a Twitter message, "Miss you, Mama," that included a photo of the engraved bracelet she had given him to commemorate the movie. His Twitter account has recently been shut down. That same month, he confronted his mother and stepfather over the state of a trust into which some of his earnings as an actor had been deposited, according to a lawsuit he filed in Orange County Superior Court in October 2014. It's starting to get juicier and juicier. Mr. Bennett claimed his parents had barred him from the family's house and kept his possessions, and over the years had cheated him out of at least $1.5 million in earnings. He said he was broke and 2 months behind on his rent. The case was settled in December 2014, but the terms were not disclosed. In the agreement between Ms. Argento and Mr. Bennett, she agreed to pay him $380,000 over the course of a year and a half, starting with an initial payment of the $200,000 that was made in April, according to the letter to Ms. Argento, in which her lawyer, Ms. Goldberg, outlined the terms of the deal. So, I'm going to stop right there. So, you basically become the darling of the Me Too movement. You crucify Bill Cosby, okay? You accuse Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault when you was 21. And now, the shoe's on the other foot. And basically, you had sex with this young man, Mr. Bennett, when he was 17 years old. And he was, 37? And if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, that's statutory rape. And the legal age of having sex is 18 in the state of California. So you had statutory rape with this young man. And basically, they should have charged you with statutory rape, but they're going to sweep that under the rug anyway. This is how you are. And it's even gets sicker. I'm going to go ahead and finish this article. The agreement does not prevent either party from discussing it. In a letter, Ms. Goldberg explained that California law does not allow disclosure agreements in the civil contracts involving this type of allegations made by Mr. Bennett, but yet your client had statutory raped this young man and acted like nothing's ever happened, and you think you're good with that. One alternative Ms. Goldberg wrote would be to work around the California law by using New York lawyers, which is also not right, and arguing that the laws of New York govern the agreement. So basically, you using New York lawyers, which they don't even have a jurisdiction to represent the state of California in this case. But you're using their lawyers to argue their laws over there. All right. Let me finish this. This is getting sicker and sicker. Ultimately, you decided against the non-disclosure language because you felt it was inconsistent with the public messages you conveyed about the societal perils of non-disclosure agreements, she wrote to Ms. Argento. Bennett could theoretically tell people his claim against you. She wrote, however, under this agreement, he cannot sue you for them, nor can he post the photos of the two of you. At the very least, Ms. Goldberg added, he is not permitted to bother you for more money, disparage you, or sue, so long as you comply with your obligations in the agreement. Although it is unclear that whether Mr. Bennett or Ms. Argento has spoken since the payment was made, Ms. Argento seems to remain supportive On July 17th, she added a like to a moody portrait of himself he had posted on his Instagram account. The account has since been scrubbed as much of its content. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This woman, who's the darling of the Me Too movement, had the audacity to crucify Bill Cosby, cheering him on like, yay, yay, Bill Cosby's going down, he's going to serve some jail time. And then accusing Harvey Weinstein, which I'm not a big fan of Harvey Weinstein, nor I don't condone what he's done, because that was wrong. He needed to be in jail for sexual assault of so many women. So I don't condone that. I don't support him at all. I'm not his fan of anything like that, right? But yet, you sexually assaulted a 17-year-old boy, and you was 37, in the state of California, which in California law, that is statutory rape, which is mean that the official age a person to have sex is 18, and you know that. So what you do, you really paid this young man a rack of money to keep quiet. Let's just call it hush money. Paid this young man $380,000 to your accuser to keep quiet. And it's just how dirty her lawyer was. So basically, you use the New York lawyers to represent California, which of course we know that that's against the jurisdiction, because obviously you cannot represent a New York lawyer, but jam there with their laws over there. You know, this woman right here need to be called out. Any black YouTuber need to call her out. Because this is the same woman, Asia Argento, was the one that was cheering them on when they found out that Bill Cosby was found guilty. When they crucified Bill Cosby, she was the first woman that was celebrating with a joy, like, yeah, 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 all right, yay. And then the same woman that you see right here was accusing Harvey Weinstein. And again, I don't condone, I really do not like Harvey Weinstein for what she did to these women. And I hope he spent some time there. We don't even know if that was true. She was 21. We don't even know. She's claiming that Harvey Weinstein raped her in 1997 while she was 21. We don't even know that's true. But then turn around and had sex with the person you said that is like your son to you, mother and son, who she was 37 at the time, and he was 17. And on the California law, that's considered statutory rape. She could have been charged, but because of, they're going to sweep it under the rug like they always do, cover it up, and acting like nothing ever happens. And this is why I said that this is important, ladies and gentlemen, that this woman need to be exposed. This article, like I said, I credit the New York Times for this, but this article is exposing her right now. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, what we're seeing is that this actress and director, I should call her the female version of Harvey Weinstein, because basically you just sexually assaulted a minor. You sexually assaulted a 17-year-old boy, and you was 37 years old. They could have put you in handcuffs, but they didn't do that because we already know. But yet you become the darling of the Me Too movement. They call you the leader of the Me Too movement, and yet you doing this. So I want each and every one of you guys to expose this woman, right? I'm definitely want you guys, especially black YouTubers, because of what she did to Bill Cosby, how she slandered him, how she crucifying him as the leader of the Me Too movement. And yet, look what she's doing. Look what she got her own accusers to worry about. See? This is why I said it's called karma. But yet, ain't nothing going to do nothing. She ain't going to do like they did with Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby or R. Kelly. She ain't going to do nothing like what they did to them. but yet you want to judge them for what they did. But now thanks to this New York Times article, you just got exposed. And I wonder what the Me Too movement, feels about this. Since they want to attack men, what about the women? What about the women? The women is just as deadly as men. Trust me. She sexually assaulted a 17-year-old boy, and they've been hushed ever since. So what do you think about this, guys? What do you think about this article? Share this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my reaction channel. And subscribe to my Black Junction channel for all the news and commentary. And my final note, and nothing's going to be done with this woman right here because they could have been done something. But they know when you pay a victim, you pay out $380,000 of disclosure money, that tells you what kind of woman you are. And again, the Me Too movement probably going to sweep that under the rug too, because they don't care about boys. All they care about is protecting each other, women. They don't care about men who's been sexually assaulted or raped by women. But that's how it is. Till then, this is Lions Den signing off. Deuces.